movie begins on a quiet drive through the forest. A little boy named Pete sits in the back seat, reading a book about a boy and his loyal dog named Elliot. But in an instant, tragedy strikes. A deer leaps across the road, his father swerves, and the car crashes violently. When the dust settles, Pete is the only survivor. Heartbroken and alone, the boy grabs his book, slings on his backpack, and wanders into the endless green wilderness. But as the sun sets, he's surrounded by hungry wolves. Just as one lunges toward him, a deafening roar shakes the forest, and a massive, glowing green dragon appears out of the mist, scattering the predators like leaves in the wind. Terrified but fascinated, Pete stares up at the creature towering above him. When he realizes the dragon isn't going to eat him, he whispers the name from his storybook, Elliot. The dragon lowers his paw, inviting Pete to climb on. And from that moment, the two form a bond stronger than anything in the world. 6 years pass. The boy and dragon live in perfect harmony, hidden from the world. Together they hunt, fly, and play across the treetops. Elliot has a special power. He can turn invisible at will, which keeps them safe from anyone who might wander too close. To Pete, the forest is paradise. It's the only home he's ever known. But outside their peaceful world, rumors begin to spread. An old man named Meacham claims to have seen a dragon decades ago, deep in the woods. Most laugh him off, except for his daughter Grace, a forest ranger who spends her days protecting the same wilderness where Pete and Elliot live. One morning, Grace discovers fresh markings on trees that loggers have been cutting illegally. As she moves through the forest, Pete secretly watches her from the shadows. Curiosity overwhelms him. When she drops her compass, he sneaks forward and steals it, unaware that this small act will change his life forever. Back at his hidden den, Pete shows the compass to Elliot, but when the dragon sniffs it, the dust makes him sneeze, covering Pete in sticky dragon drool. They laugh together like brothers, yet the sound of chainsaws suddenly fills the forest. For the first time, Pete hears machines, and fear pushes him to investigate. Peering through the trees, he sees men cutting down the woods. Among them is Grace's fiancé, Jack, and his reckless brother Gavin, who only cares about profit. And somewhere nearby, Jack's daughter Natalie plays in the forest until she spots something strange, a wild boy staring at her from the shadows. Startled but curious, Natalie chases Pete through the trees. The boy is fast, agile, almost animal-like. She follows him up a tall tree but slips and screams. Without thinking, Pete leaps to save her, catching her hand midair. They crash to the ground, breathless but safe. For the first time, Pete meets someone his own age, and she can't believe he's real. Moments later, Grace and Jack arrive, demanding to know what happened. When Grace sees her missing compass hanging around Pete's neck, she approaches gently. But the boy panics and runs. He crashes straight into Gavin, who grabs him by the arm, and Pete hits his head, falling unconscious. Miles away, Elliot wakes up. He can feel Pete is in danger. With a thunderous growl, he bursts from his cave and charges through the forest, leaving broken trees in his wake. But when the loggers catch a glimpse of his glowing green scales, chaos erupts. They scatter in fear. The legend of the dragon is suddenly very, very real. Meanwhile, Pete wakes up in a hospital, surrounded by strange walls, strange noises, and people who want to keep him there. Confused and frightened, he escapes through a window and runs through the streets, calling out for Elliot. He even growls at barking dogs, wild and fearless. But before he can reach the forest, Grace finds him and softly promises he's safe. She takes him home, introducing him to her fiancé Jack and daughter Natalie. For the first time in years, Pete eats at a table, wears clean clothes, and sleeps in a warm bed. But his heart aches for Elliot, who's now searching the forest, roaring for his lost boy. That night, Gavin and his crew wander deep into the woods and stumble upon Elliot's lair. They find Pete's old storybook on the ground, proof that someone lives there. But when Elliot appears, furious and protective, he unleashes his rage. Trees topple. The men barely escape with their lives. The next morning, Grace discovers the truth. She finds sketches from her father's past, drawings that match Pete's dragon perfectly. For the first time, she believes, Elliot is real, and she realizes she must help reunite the boy and his dragon before the hunters return. But it's already too late. Gavin and his men return to the forest armed with tranquilizers and ropes. They find Elliot, sedate him, and capture him like a trophy. Pete arrives too late, screaming for them to stop. But he's dragged away as his best friend is chained and caged. Elliot's emerald eyes dim as he's transported to the lumber mill, where Gavin shows him off to the town like a prize beast. But Grace, Jack, and Natalie rush in, determined to set him free. As Grace touches Elliot's fur, it begins to glow bright green, shimmering like living magic. Everyone freezes in awe. In the confusion, Pete and Natalie sneak inside the cage and unhook the chains. Elliot stirs, weak but alive. They block the door, helping him escape through the wall as Mitchell, Grace's father, jumps into a truck and becomes their getaway driver. The chase is on. Gavin and his men roar after them through the forest roads. Helicopters circle overhead. Grace and Jack try to stop Gavin, but he's obsessed with capturing the dragon. As the trucks race toward a narrow bridge, Mitchell's brakes give out. Gavin swerves to block the way, but it's too late. The truck slams forward. Pete urges Elliot to fly. With a burst of energy, the dragon takes off, smashing through smoke and splinters. But the chaos weakens the bridge, and the entire structure begins to collapse. Grace and Jack's truck teeters on the edge, seconds from falling into the river below. Pete screams for Elliot to help. The dragon dives, wrapping his massive claws around the truck and lifting it to safety. But the bridge gives way beneath them. With a crash, they all tumble into the river, vanishing beneath the waves. Silence falls. Everyone fears the worst. Then, a roar. Elliot bursts from the water, wings shining in the sunlight, carrying Grace and Jack safely on his back. The crowd watches in awe. Even Gavin realizes the truth. This creature isn't a monster. He's family. He's love. But helicopters soon arrive. Pete knows they'll never leave Elliot alone. With tears in his eyes, he climbs onto his friend's back one last time. Together, they soar into the clouds, disappearing beyond the mountains where no human can follow. Weeks later, Pete now lives happily with Grace, Jack, and Natalie, finally part of a real family. Yet he never forgets Elliot. Sometimes at night, he looks to the sky, wondering if his dragon still watches over him. And one day, far to the north, Grace and Jack travel to the mountains. There, hidden among the mist, they see Elliot again, surrounded by others like him, a family of dragons at last. Pete runs forward laughing as his old friend lands beside him. It's not goodbye, it's a promise that true family can take any form, even one that breathes fire. If you could have a dragon as your best friend, what would you name it? Tell me in the comments below, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Great Animation Recaps for more magical stories every week.